Huh?
You're sitting in a meeting. Nothing is wrong. The room is quiet, the air is still, and nobody is threatening you. But somewhere deep inside your chest, something tightens. Your heart rate lifts. Your eyes drift toward the door. You don't know why. You just feel like something is watching you. Nothing is. But your brain doesn't know that. And that feeling, that irrational, persistent humming sense of being observed or threatened, isn't a glitch. It isn't anxiety. It isn't weakness. It is one of the oldest, most precisely engineered survival systems ever built by evolution, still running inside you right now, completely unchanged from the version that kept your ancestors alive on the open savanna 2 million years ago. Your brain still thinks you're being hunted. Here's what that actually means. Somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million years ago, your ancestors were not the apex predators of their environment. They were prey. Small, slow, nearly hairless creatures living on a vast grassland populated by animals that were bigger, faster, and far more dangerous. Leopards dropped from trees, hyenas moved in packs, eagles could take a child. The threat was constant, multi-directional, and often invisible until it was too late. To survive in that world, your brain evolved a dedicated threat detection system so sensitive, so fast, and so prone to false alarms that it would rather fire 100 times unnecessarily than miss a single genuine predator once. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping the system. He called its central structure the amygdala, and what he found inside it changed the way scientists understand fear. The amygdala doesn't wait for your conscious mind. It doesn't ask questions. It receives raw sensory data, a shadow, a rustle, a shape that might be a face. And before your thinking brain has even processed what you saw, the amygdala has already triggered a full-body alarm. Pupils dilate, muscles tighten, stress hormones flood your bloodstream. You are physically ready to run or fight before you are consciously aware there was anything to notice. Ledoux called this the low road, a fast, dirty, imprecise signal path that trades accuracy for speed. And in a world full of leopards, speed was everything. A half-second advantage could mean your life. The problem is that half-second advantage was calibrated for leopards, not for a tense email, not for a crowd of strangers, not for the sound of a door slamming 2 rooms away. But your amygdala doesn't know the difference. It never learned to know the difference because evolution doesn't update in real time. Evolution moves on a timescale of tens of thousands of generations, and you've only been living in a world without predators for the blink of an eye in evolutionary terms. So the ancient threat detector is still running, at full sensitivity, right now. Psychologist Arno Ullman spent years studying what he called prepared learning, the idea that humans come pre-wired to fear certain things with almost no exposure or experience at all. In his experiments, people learned to fear snakes and spiders after a single negative pairing far more readily than they learned to fear guns or knives, which are objectively more dangerous in the modern world. The fear was in the hardware, not the software. It was already loaded. Your brain doesn't need to be taught to fear the dark. It doesn't need to be taught to feel uneasy with its back to a room. It doesn't need to be taught to scan a crowd for the one face that seems to be watching you. These are default settings, installed millions of years ago, running on hardware that hasn't been updated since. Think about the last time you walked alone at night, even in a safe neighborhood, even on a street you've walked 1,000 times. There was probably a moment, maybe a sound, maybe a movement at the edge of your vision, where everything inside you snapped to attention. Your pace quickened, your senses sharpened. You were, for just a moment, completely and totally alive in a way you almost never are in daylight. That wasn't fear of an actual predator. That was your ancient brain doing exactly what it was built to do in exactly the environment it was built to scan. Open space, low light, no clear escape route, potential threat at the perimeter. Every one of those conditions is a trigger. Every one of them would have been relevant 200,000 years ago. And not one of them knows it's a Tuesday in a city with streetlights and locked doors. The question that anthropologist Daniel Lieberman has spent his career exploring is this: why hasn't evolution removed these ancient systems if we no longer need them? The answer is almost insulting in its simplicity. Evolution doesn't remove things that don't kill you directly. The threat detection system costs you something. Elevated cortisol, a racing heart, a nervous system that sometimes burns too hot, but it doesn't kill you outright in the modern world. So it stays, and it keeps running. And it does more than just make you jump at shadows. It shapes the way you see faces. Experiments by researchers at the University of Glasgow found that when subjects were shown images of ambiguous facial expressions, faces that could be read as either neutral or threatening, the amygdala consistently interpreted them as threatening first. Not sometimes, not usually. First, always. And the more emotionally charged or tired the subject was, the more pronounced this bias became. It shapes the way you remember. Negative events, frightening moments, humiliating experiences, close calls. Your brain stores these with a priority and vividness that positive memories simply don't receive. This is not a psychological flaw. This is a filing system optimized for survival. If you forget the location of the best berry patch, you go hungry once. If you forget the terrain where a predator attacked you, you don't survive to forget anything else. It shapes the way you sleep. The hours between roughly 2 and 4 in the morning, what researchers at the Max Planck Institute have identified as a time when cortisol naturally dips before rising again near dawn, are the hours when anxiety most frequently spikes. It is the deepest part of the night. In the ancestral world, it was also the most dangerous. Predators move in deep dark. Your nervous system still knows this, even when your conscious mind has no idea why it's spiraling at 3 a.m. over something that felt manageable at noon. It shapes the way you feel in crowds, open-plan offices, busy train stations, packed concert venues. Your brain is simultaneously running two ancient calculations. Is there a threat in this crowd, and does this crowd accept me as a member? Both of those calculations have ancient survival stakes. Being rejected by the group in the ancestral world meant being expelled into the open savanna alone, where you were immediately vulnerable. The social anxiety you feel in a room full of strangers is not self-consciousness. It is a survival subroutine misapplied. None of this is happening to you. All of this is happening for you. Or at least it was. Once. There is a concept in evolutionary biology called the mismatch hypothesis. The idea, developed extensively by researchers including evolutionary psychologist David Buss, is that many of the psychological struggles modern humans experience are not diseases or disorders in the traditional sense. They are adaptations, systems that were perfectly calibrated for one environment, now running in a completely different one. The system isn't broken, the environment changed faster than the system could adapt. Your chronic stress, your inability to stop scanning social media for signs of rejection or threat, your tendency to ruminate on worst-case scenarios at night, your irrational startle response in a quiet office, your sense sitting safely in a well-lit room that something is watching you. These are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that you are running ancient, highly effective software on modern hardware in a world the software was not designed for. The predators are gone. The system remains. So the next time you feel your chest tighten for no reason in a quiet room, or your eyes snap toward a door you didn't consciously hear, or you find yourself awake at 3 a.m. convinced something is wrong, understand what is actually happening. An alarm system refined across millions of years of genuine danger is doing its job. It is watching the dark. It is scanning the edge of the frame. It is ready, always ready, for a threat that no longer exists in the form it was built to find. Your ancestors survived because that system never slept. And tonight, when the room is quiet and nothing is wrong and something inside you still tightens anyway, that's not your anxiety talking. That's 2 million years of survival, still keeping watch.